Hello, welcome to another video, and I have done another small impulse, but much smaller. And I talked about this in my last week at some point, I think, but that is about a PlayStation 2. Look at this goddamn beauty. So I did pony up, and I found this on eBay, actually, which worked perfectly. I was very surprised. There was a few different ones on eBay. Like, that's probably the best way to get these. Very nice how inexpensive I'd say a PS2 is now. And like being that it's a slim, I was stunned when I opened this. Thinking back to like my childhood, I did not realize how tiny this console was. And when my wife actually saw it, because she's never had a PlayStation 2, she was like, oh wow, that thing is tiny. And it's freaking beautiful. This thing is so compact. I did not realize it, and I was amazed at how much this thing can do, how small it is. And it is like a newer version. A lot of people probably don't really look too much into it if you haven't looked at PlayStation 2s. But there's a lot of different versions of these with smaller updates and whatnot that came with them. I know there is different changes with like region lock kind of stuff and different memory cards working on newer ones. There's a lot of different stuff with it that you could really fall down a rabbit hole of if you want to. Me, didn't really care, just wanted to get it and play a few older games because I was feeling kind of sad and nostalgic and I was feeling old even though I'm not that old. But I ordered that, came in, perfectly fine, worked great. I was thrilled. I still have a TV that's older that has the AV cables in it, so I didn't even need to use an adapter. I have one in case I want to use one, so that's kind of nice. Overall, I just wanted to play some old games and, feel good again. But the thing when I ordered this, it was a lot cheaper, and the guy sent me an offer on eBay for like 15% off, even more. So like this thing was not that much, which was very nice. But this one is much cheaper because it comes with no games, it comes with no memory card, and it came with no controllers. So you need controllers to play it. Look at this. A wireless PlayStation 2 controller. What a lovely thing. It's very stiff, I'll say. So like it might not be the greatest. It might, like, I don't know if it was the game I was playing, but it did feel, or if it's just like the old game, how it feels. I didn't realize how tiny these, like my whole hand can like fucking destroy this controller. It feels so weird, but also great at the same time. But being that it's, 2024, I did not want a wired controller because, boy, I know that I would hurt myself, let alone a cat, my dog, something like that, breaking something, just clipping the cord. But so it came in a pack of two, so that's good. So you can play two-player games on this thing. Part of why there's so many great games on the PlayStation 2. It had so much like love and, kind of development for it, support for it. Even like back then, sports games. It just felt like they had more oomph behind them versus like today's sports games where it feels like they cut 90% of what used to be in them and then are slowly adding like one thing while taking away a different thing to be like, oh look, we added this new feature even though it's not new. If you don't know sports games, just understand they've been in a shit show since like 2014. But let's talk about games. I only have 2 games on me. I had so many as a kid and they're all gone and I'm fucking furious if I'm being honest. But went to a local pawn shop because they had almost any PlayStation 2 game. Obviously none of like the super, collectible ones. But I got 2. The tag says $15, but on both of them. But the guy was great, and he gave me them for 10 each, a full just $20 because I had 20 cash on me. He said, "Yeah, it's good enough." So that was good. But first one, as I just showed, the OG Ratchet and Clank, classic PlayStation 2 game. The intro to Ratchet and Clank series. And I have a confession: I have never played Ratchet and Clank in my entire life, ever, not any game. So I started this one first. Both games work. It definitely feels like it's from 2002. At the same time, there is such like a charm to it almost. The cutscenes, stuff like that. Seeing the cutscenes look just like the gameplay. And like, it's weird. It's definitely an aesthetic type of thing. But I am currently just loving the aesthetic of this, and the gameplay has been pretty fine. I'm not that far into it, so it's not like anything crazy. And the other one is a heavy hitter, and that is Kingdom Hearts. I honestly didn't even see this game. I like kind of scoped through all the games at first, and saw this like at the very end, and I was like, oh fuck, like this is probably like I don't know how much PlayStation 2 games like all of them are, and Kingdom Hearts just seemed like one, especially like complete in box with manual. I would have thought it would be more, but it was also, ended up being $10. So, and that's Canadian dollars too for any Americans out there, or UK, like much cheaper in Canada, especially using conversions. I never played Kingdom Hearts 1 as a kid. I grew up with Kingdom Hearts 2 was kind of my intro to it, and I always really liked Kingdom Hearts 2, even though I was like, I don't even know how old. I had no clue what the story was. There's little kids hitting each other with keys, and somehow Disney was involved, and Mickey Mouse has a hood and looks like a wizard lord. Weirdest thing ever, but it just worked. Saw that, thought, yeah, you know what? That's a good game. It's a classic PlayStation 2 title. There is other ones that I'm going to get. There's so many games on the PlayStation 2 that it's going to be wonderful, because realistically, so many of them are not like that expensive. Like I saw the God of War 1 and 2 there. I think they were both $15. I thought about that, but changed my mind. There's those. You got Gran Turismo's, all the old sports games. Final Fantasy 10, 12, 13 maybe? No, 13 might be too new. And the expansions to those ones. There was Final Fantasy 11. I don't know if that even works. I know because it's an MMO. I guess you would have to plug an Ethernet into this and go about it that way. But there is so many different games. And just sitting there scoping through them, there's Jak and Dexter, or whatever that series is. I never played it. There's the Sly Cooper games. Obviously Crash Bandicoot games. Obviously Spyro. A lot of like the old games from your childhood. And the other awesome thing with the PlayStation 2 is that it plays all PlayStation 1 games. There's also Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, I'm pretty sure, were for PlayStation 2. And again, the first one you can play because it's PlayStation 1 and it works on PlayStation 2. It feels so nice at how much the PlayStation 2 can play, having the whole PlayStation 2 catalog, as well as basically the entire PlayStation 1 catalog. And I tell you, the secret best thing about this is like when I sat down, I got the thing hooked up, worked fine. There's way more chords and heavier chords than I expected there to be with this thing. Just as soon as you turn on a PlayStation 2 and you hear that like little chime and the blocks, and then when it starts a game and it does the bloop, PlayStation 2 it's just such a feeling to me. And I know so many younger people probably grew up more with like an Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 time frame as like their childhood kind of thing that they're currently right now over. You'll probably in a few years get to a point where you're like, damn, I just wanted that little experience again. That was me with PlayStation 2. Xbox 360 was when I like started to understand shit and went full in on like Call of Duty and stuff. PlayStation 2 was when it was like I was learning what video games are. And that, yeah, this is actually something that I'll probably like for my whole life. But yeah, overall, I bought a PlayStation 2 off eBay, bought a couple games. And I plan to just, throughout my life now, basically, collect some PS2 games and experiencing them in their actual, glory. Because I know there is a lot of remakes and stuff like that, which does make it easier to play a lot of the older games. There is a lot of games that have never been remastered. It's nice to have this while also playing these games in their original state, no updates, stuff like that. How they were fully intended at the time is a much different feeling. And I think anyone that is around my age or whatever grew up with a PlayStation 2 will have that understanding of like, it's just different. If that, it's like people that grew up with like old Super Nintendo games and stuff. Like I look at those now and I'm like, there's no way I'd play that. That looks terrible. That looks boring to me. And it's just like they have this feeling, the nostalgic feeling of like it just works for them, right? That's me in PlayStation 2. It's my nostalgic kind of thing. But that is going to do it for this video. Just want to talk about getting a PlayStation 2 because I'm thrilled. I'm excited to play through these games and whatever other games go through the giant, catalog of games that there is for the PlayStation 2 and just, relive my childhood a little bit. That I think everyone should do at some points when they need a little shot of nostalgia. But that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment if you have a PlayStation 2, if you grew up with a PlayStation 2, what some of your favorite games were for the PlayStation 2, just to, I can add to my list of potential PlayStation 2 games I want to play. And be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more and see more updates to PlayStation 2 games I'll get in the future and stuff like that, other old games and whatnot. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.